This is Fighting Words. I'm Antonio, and we're gonna have some fighting words. So, a fight that is coming up, or supposed fantasy fight, or I don't know, a possible beef that sprung up is Regis Prograis and Danny Swift Garcia. Is this fight gonna happen? I don't know, but I will say that everything that this fight needs to happen is on the good side of things. They're both at the same network. They both pretty much work for the same guy. So there's not going to be any difficulties with logistics and the technical side of things in terms of paperwork. So the question is, can this fight happen? I would say yes, this fight could definitely happen. At this point, all it would need is for both of the fighters to say, yes, we want to do this. And I think it could happen. Not to mention, I think it is definitely a fan-pleasing fight. You have two guys who are aggressive. You have two guys who like to slug and bang it out. So I think anybody in their right mind would definitely want to do this fight. I think this fight is good for boxing. I think this fight is good for just anybody who loves combat sports in general. What's going to happen? Well, if I could just do a quick breakdown, I would say Regis Prograis is a lot smaller. On paper, it doesn't seem like he's that much smaller, but he's 140. Danny Garcia is 147. Danny does walk around a lot bigger. I do know he cuts a lot of weight just to get to 147. Regis Prograis, on the other hand, I do know for the most part he stays in pretty decent shape all year round. I know he likes to do a lot of other things outside of boxing. But again, we're just talking honestly about a 7-pound difference. So I definitely think he can make welterweight. I don't see Danny Garcia going down because he'd probably kill himself in the process. So I would see Regis going up. Now, if Regis does go up, I just don't see anything. I don't see any way that he defeats Danny Garcia. The only thing that I could say in his favor would be a work rate. But he doesn't have a crazy pace when he's in the ring. And he tends to slow down in the later rounds. Danny Garcia is a counter puncher. And for the most part, Regis Prograis is a counter puncher as well. Somebody would have to lead this dance. I think Regis, being the smaller, lighter man, he would probably be a little bit more mobile, in which case he would probably more than likely lead off a jab. So he probably lead the dance. But if I were to put money on things, I would say Danny Garcia is bigger. He would probably big brother Regis the whole night. So if anything, if I were in his corner, I would definitely tell him to lead the dance and just basically seek and destroy. They both hit hard, but hitting at 140 and hitting at 147 are two different things. Danny Garcia is a knockout artist, and that's what he does. And everybody, even the people he hasn't knocked out or hasn't beaten, will all say that he can hit hard. So that being said, I just don't see any way in which Regis Prograis could beat Danny Garcia. I mean, only way I see him beating Danny Garcia is if it's AJ Ruiz 2, and how AJ just made it a very boring fight and kind of circled around and jabbed the whole night, and every once in a while throw a 1-2. If he were to do something like that, I think he could. Danny Garcia doesn't necessarily have the footwork to track him down. Well, maybe Regis Prograis does have the footwork for. But anybody else, I mean, we saw what happened when Danny Garcia fought Keith Thurman. He couldn't exactly keep up with the footwork. I don't think Regis Prograis has half of the footwork that Keith Thurman has. So I think he could actually track him down, and I think he could actually also put him away. If this fight were to go down, I don't foresee a long fight, especially if Danny were just aggressive and tracked Regis down. I wouldn't foresee it being a long fight. I would say at best maybe 6-7 rounds. Pushing it, I would say 8. But by 8, I think Regis would be battered and bruised. If he's still standing at that point, I think it would be a decision where the cornermen are thinking about throwing in the towel or possible TKO, and the referee just coming in and stopping it. I just don't see any way possible where Regis Prograis can beat Danny Garcia. I just don't see it. Danny's been in there with some pretty heavy hitters. Earl Spence couldn't put him down. Keith Thurman couldn't put him down. Sean Porter couldn't put him down. So I find it very unlikely that Regis Prograis could put him down or hurt or stop him or slow him down in any way, shape, or form. But those are my fighting words.